the drum kit, for instance, was my choice, that I decided to approach it traditionally, partly because I'm inexperienced in it, and partly because my respect for the tradition. I thought I'll use a 4-drum kit, and the first time I performed with the band in the live concert, I also did a drum solo on the 4 drums, so it was a great challenge for me to get back to, of course, where every drummer begins, on a limited number of voices to play with.
Did it make it harder because you didn't have that gong to go to, or that tiny tom, or, I mean...
It was limiting in the number of voices that I had, but at the same time, they're 4 awfully good voices.
Well, how complex was that casting certain drummers for certain tracks on the album? I mean, there's, you know, Matt Sorum's got his own style, you have your own style, you know, everyone has their own style, and then you've got all this huge body of music. And I imagine that must have been pretty complex to fit A to B and so forth.
Yeah, well, it could go any number of ways, really. Some of the drummers did know Buddy's songbook fairly well and could say, I'd like to play this or this. Like myself, I said I want a fast swing tune and a medium swing tune when I first worked with the band. Kathy Rich, Buddy's daughter, was my executive producer on this, and she had a lot to do with the artists and repertoire side.
Is perhaps one of your hopes in making this album that perhaps some fans who are diehard Rush fans, for instance, get into a very different kind of music, which is big? I mean, is that at all a consideration?
I would love that to be the case, honestly, because it is excellent music. You know, it's beautifully constructed and written and arranged and played, so there are no apologies there. And what I hope to reach really is the fringes of the mainstream. You know, I know this isn't kind of mainstream listening because it's demanding, musically and from an audience point of view. But I think there are people that genuinely love good music, you know, and they're not so strict about what style it is, and they're not so factionalized into this kind of music is hip and this kind isn't. I like the Duke Ellington quote, you know, there are only two kinds of music, good music and bad music. And I definitely believe this falls into the good music range, and I think people that do have a real love for music as opposed to it being a background or a lifestyle accessory.
has really taken drumming to another level. I mean, Neil's not just a drummer. He's a writer. He's a lyricist. He's a wonderful player. And I think the whole thing with the Lifetime Achievement Award, it's that people who have achieved something in their lives and elevated the art form of drumming. And he's the perfect candidate because that's exactly what he's done.
This was a life experience, but not a life-changing experience.
Right.
It was, a tangent is the right word. It was a little sidetrack that was really interesting to take, and a great thing to say, here's how I spent my summer vacation, but I'm still the same guy. I'm still going to pound things really hard.
What do you think your father would have thought of this record?
I think my father would have been extremely humbled by this, because anytime that he was honored or asked to participate in something that had something to do with him, he was very modest about things like this. And I think he sometimes couldn't understand why all the fuss. And I think he would be honored, and I think he would be very happy.